I used to think going out and partying on the weekends after a long week of work was normal. When I graduated college, I graduated in 2018. I started working as a software engineer. I had studied computer science. I went into the working world and my only focus was on money. I was trying to make as much money as I possibly could. So I would grind during the week. I had a solid first job. I was making $75,000. A couple years later, soon making six figures. I would grind during the week. And then when it came to the weekend, what I would do is I would tell myself I was going to relax. I would tell myself I was going to reward myself for the hard work that I had done. So what would I do? I would do what everybody else around me what everybody else around me was doing. Friday night, I'd come home. Maybe I'd get to the gym. Probably not, because my mind was focused on other things. I was just ready to let loose and party because I had worked hard during the week, right? I thought I had deserved it. That's what culture was telling me. That's what everybody I spent time with was telling me, that Friday night was the time to start to get wasted. So I would come home, I'd start the pregame, I'd have a couple drinks. Before you know it, I'd be at one of the boys for a pregame. We'd be putting down shots, and before you knew it, before we were even at the bar, we would already be blackout. And sure, I spent time with some great buddies, some of my best friends, and I have no regrets about what happened during that time. I definitely have no regrets about the people I was spending time with, who they were, because that was what truly made the experience. But that was the thing. We didn't realize what truly made the experience. The experience was truly because of the people we were spending time with. They brought value into our life. They brought laughs. They brought joy. They brought happiness. But we felt like we needed to take it to a certain level. In order to have fun, we needed to get wasted. We needed to take it to a point where we didn't even remember the rest of the night. And that was normal, to wake up on Saturday morning, feel hungover, eat a crappy meal, and not remember every thought from the night before, not remember every interaction from the night before, but we would just laugh about it and shrug it off. It's like, oh yeah, we were completely wasted last night. That was so funny. That was so fun. And that was the city life, the 9 to 5 grind, party on the weekend warrior city life. And that's all I knew, because that's what everybody else around me was doing. But I just started to find myself unsatisfied. The money wasn't cutting it. What was I using the money for, right? To go out and party? What else? What other type of satisfaction was it bringing me? Not very much. And I thought the money would open up doors and open up opportunities. And it did, in a sense. But I always still felt empty. And so I thought getting turned up with my boys, having fun, that would give me a little bit more fulfillment. But I always felt empty. And I came back to Monday, and it was just like another week working for another paycheck. And the same cycle repeated. And I would focus on myself a little bit during the week, maybe some gym sessions here and there. But besides that, I wasn't doing anything to build myself up. And anything I did build during the week, I was completely sabotaging during the weekend. And this is when I started to realize that there had to be something more. There had to be a way for me to feel full inside. There had to be a way for me to feel whole without anything else to fill that emptiness. There had to be a way for me to feel complete in who I was without having to fill that void with money, without having to fill that void with partying, with drugs, with women. There had to be a way. And that's when I started looking at the lives of top performers, people who I genuinely aspired to be like. Whether it was their character that I admired, whether it was the lifestyle that they were living, whether it was the job or the business that they operated, something about them, maybe it wasn't everything about them, but there was something about them that inspired me. For athletes, it was just I grew up as an athlete. I played football my entire life into college. For athletes, it was the grind, just the hustle, the hard work. I loved that. I resonated with that. With entrepreneurs, men who were making millions, billions with their business, it was the building aspect. It wasn't even necessarily the money, but it was that they had gone from the ground and built something to such great scale. And the journey and the process and what it takes, the grit, the determination, the perseverance to build something like that. People who were super aware of their emotions, who could understand themselves but understand others, who could communicate with themselves from a place of understanding, from a place of being in control and aware. And so when I started really studying those types of people, everything changed. Because when I looked at their lives, I looked at how they were spending it. And they were spending it with a lot of consistency and a lot of routine. They would wake up every single day and prime themselves to absolutely crush the day. They would have a morning routine. They would be in the Word, spending time with God. They would be in meditation, they would be in their journal, writing down their emotions, writing down their feelings to understand, to become more aware of how they were feeling. They would be in the gym religiously, no excuses. It didn't matter the weather, it didn't matter how they felt. They would stick to the plan. But most importantly, the biggest difference I saw between top performers and average people, because I was just average at that point when I was going to work Monday through Friday, when I was working 40 hours a week, and then I was going out and partying on the weekends, I was just average. And when I looked at people who were above me, top performers, the biggest difference was how they spent their weekend. And top performers were spending their weekend to get ahead, to continue to advance their dream, to continue to push forward and move the needle in a positive direction. And this didn't even mean putting their head down and grinding from sun up to sundown, Saturday and Sunday. What it just meant was staying in routine, staying consistent with the basics, the non-negotiables, their physical habits, their mental health habits, their time with God, and then doing something to move their dream forward, whether it was a business, whether it was their job, whether it was advancing their career to that next level. That's how they spent their weekends. And because that top 1% was so rare, because that top 1% is not normal, it is not ordinary, it is not what the average person is doing, I hadn't really caught a glimpse of that because I was living in ordinary society. I was living with the majority of people. I was living like everybody else was. So I had to look outside of myself. I had to step outside of my environment and look to the people who were really living the life I wanted to live. And once I started modeling my life after the people who inspired me, who motivated me, who showed me that the dream was possible, after I modeled my life and started living with the same habits, the same consistency, the same discipline as those people, and I left that old person, I left that ordinary behavior, I left that belief that I had to live like everybody else behind, and I started living at that new level, that was when everything in my life completely changed.